Today we are working on a 12 by 12 wooden canvas taped and ready to go. We are going to be working with inks today, acrylic inks. And if you haven't been introduced to one of my favorite inks, I really enjoy using abstract inks. I will also be using some Liquitex-Gold and Silver, and I will be using possibly some Sennelier and Rowney. I really love the abstract. They're made in France. They come in really fantastic colors. They're affordable and they work fabulously. So you'll see all kinds of colors for those, and I will put those in the description below for the colors that I will be working with today. I do have some Liquitex as well, as I said, and I have just fabulous colors in the abstract. So we're going to be using these. You can see them over here. I already have them out. They are mixed with Floetrol. There's no water unless I have to put water in them. They are generally just Floetrol and ink. And I have put them in syringes. I really like using syringes because it allows me to have some precision, especially for this type of painting. And we're going to be mixing an acrylic background with these inks, and I may be throwing some of my raw inks in as well. We are going to be doing an underwater kind of motif today, and we're starting with this board that has been gessoed. It is clear gesso so that the paint does not soak through. It is clear so you won't see it, but it has been treated. Okay, so let's get started. First we're going to start with our base. I'm choosing to use a Prussian blue. Don't want to shake that too much. It has been thinned down, and I may have to add more water to it if it's not thin enough. So we're just basically putting a base of Prussian blue, which is a very dark blue. This is just Liquitex paint mixed with Floetrol and water. And it may need more water, but it might be okay. And I just went over the side. I'm already getting messy. Okay, I've already put some paper towels down because I do not want to clean up this. Prussian blue is kind of like black. It can be a rough color to clean up. I'm just going to go ahead and spread this. A thin layer, we do not need a thick layer. Now we're just torching. The first color we're going to be adding is going to be turquoise, and I'm going to be starting on the very bottom. I'm going to be making a coral-like structure. So, just need little dots of my turquoise. It takes some concentration. You may not hear me talk a lot. As you can see, it will go ahead and spread in the acrylic paint. So you'll start to see the spread. That one may be too big. It's really very neat how everything just spreads out and you start seeing hazing and you start seeing just some visual interest. So this is our coral-like structure. This is the bottom of the sea. My daughter loves to talk about the Mariana Trench. I don't know that this would be growing in the bottom of the Mariana Trench, but who knows. We're gonna make a seascape based on designing with ink. So the next color we're going to be using is sort of day glow, very Caribbean-esque. This is actually a Daler and Rowney ink, so yes, I am using Daler and Rowney inks today as well. This particular color is a light green, and we're going to use that to make some plants along this side. So I am just going, hopefully not to glop this up. My paints have been sitting. They get a little gloppy if they've been sitting. You don't have to be exact with this, and I will show you why in just a minute. Got a little blue in there, but that's okay. This is such a vibrant color. So much fun. Okay, we're gonna stop right there with that, and I'm gonna show you what I'm going to do. Yes, that does look like a plant, but I want to give it kind of more pizzazz. You can see I use the skewer quite often, but I am going to give my plant more texture by just going through with a skewer and just giving it a little bit of shape. It's kind of hard to talk while doing this. Okay. We're just gonna make this plant come alive. We don't want him to be generic. We want him to be his own plant. Now these inks, when you work with them, they do continue to spread. If you do not use Floetrol, they really spread. So if you want them to kind of stay more in their own lane, then you have to add the Floetrol in there to get them to stay. I know Floetrol is for flow, but it is not for flow with inks. It actually keeps them where they need to be. You also need to watch getting your hands in this. It's very easy to stick your hands where they don't belong. Stick your hand in it as you're doing this. I've figured that out and have to go back and fix things because I have stuck my hands in them. So just be aware of that as you go through and do what I'm doing. And I won't bore you too long with this. Almost done. So there is your plant, your green plant. And what I also want to do here is add some color along the bottom. This color will dry much darker than what you see here. It really will. It will dry a lot darker. But I just like to add it because it just adds depth and dimension and interest to it. Now that we've done that, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the main thing on my painting. I'm going to add a fish. And in doing this fish, I'm going to put him down a little bit because I want to put something else up. I am making my fish. And you're like, that's a fish. It is. You just have to wait and see. It is a fish. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do to get him to do what I need him to do. I'm also going to add some orange in here. This is going to be an African cichlid, I believe, is what I'm going to go for today. I used to have an African cichlid. She lived, and it was a she lived for 15 years. That beautiful fish would not die. She lived forever. And to you, this probably looks like glop, but for me, it doesn't look like glop at all. It looks like a fish. Yes, indeedy, it does look like a fish, and I am starting to move my syringes out, and I'm going to put them back over here. They migrate. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just go around and create my fish. My fish has fins. He has a very fancy tail. A very fancy tail. It flows out behind him. He has fins here. And we're gonna pull his jaw out a little bit. And his head out just a little bit. And here. Give him, or her, are you seeing it now? I'm going to add just a little bit of separation between here. If you don't like this area right here, you can just suck the paint back up into something like this. This is just a pipette, and you can do it that way. And I'm going to give him just a little more flair and shape. I stared at an African cichlid for so long that I am aware of this shape. This is a very fancy African cichlid, obviously. Mine was not quite so fancy. She was white. Okay. So I'm gonna stop there. I may have to come back and work on this because the ink will continue to flow, and I'm actually gonna take a little bit off. Okay, I had to go and answer my cat. He was knocking at the door. So you can see that we're still morphing and we're still moving. The thing about inks is they continue to move, and you will have to see me go back and work some as the fish flows through the water. This, as it dries, will stay static now, but the fish, there's a lot of paint, and that paint is going to move. This is fluid art. So you will see me go back and work on him, and he will continue to morph. So now let's go ahead and add the next element of our painting. I am going to do a jellyfish, actually, or a sea polyp. We're going to make him fairly small. We're going to put him up here in the corner. He's moving out of the picture, and we will just do a shape of a sea polyp. I'll show you a trick with the raw inks to show you something that they do that's kind of cool. So this is my sea polyp, and I am going to add some, we're going to add these. I may have made his, I'm going to pull it down just a little bit, but I'm going to add something so I don't want to get it too close to my fish or it's going to run into my fish. And this may already be a lot on here. This is a pretty big piece, but if you want to see something really neat, I'm going to take my magenta. This is going to be just the ink, and I'm going to place dots on my polyp, or jellyfish, whatever you want to call him. He's not going to have really long tendrils, but what you will see, what will happen to the paint, is that it will cause like a dendrite effect. It will bloom on there, so we're going to watch that bloom. And also, we're also going to do his tendrils the same way. You actually could have done the tendrils completely this way, but I am going to drop my ink onto where I have put my Floetrol ink. And you should still see about the same type of response. I'm just going to run my skewer through. Just going to show you some techniques for this. And you can see how that is starting to spread. You'll see the little dendrite formations. You just have to give it a little bit of time to form. This is really just to let you see how these inks react. You really can paint with your inks. Okay, I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of gold up here. This is something I did in another painting, almost like they're bubbles, but I'm gonna go back and I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that to all of them. My paint has started to dry. I have taken so much time that if your paint is too thin, it will start to dry. So I'm just going to add a little interest right there. We already have quite a lot going on in this painting. I'm wanting to add something down here. I'm actually going to take my yellow And I'm going to add a little something hiding down here. I don't know if you're gonna know what that is, but I am gonna add just one little touch here. Gonna put his little snout. He's going to have little fins, so I'm gonna pull his fins out. I'm gonna pull his head up. He needs a little bit of up movement. He's gotten a little fat. It's okay, he's cute. He's cute and he's fat. And you might recognize him. I am putting in a seahorse. He's about to lose his neck. That's the thing about inks. We don't want him to lose his neck. We have to follow that. And as you can see, just a case in point with the fish, he is losing his shape as well. And so sometimes you just have to go back and pull through your paint. And my seahorse needs an eye, so we can finish this up. He needs just a little bit of an eye. Again, he's losing his neck. You can pull a little of the paint off, or you can just occasionally go back in and take the paint away. He's getting a little fat. He ate too much. Gonna pull just a tiny bit out, and I'm gonna pull his neck back up just like that. Okay. He may need a neck tuck every once in a while as I finish up. We're gonna go ahead and give him some eye. I'm gonna give him an eye. To do that, I'm actually taking a little bit of my brown ink. I had a little bit left over, and I'm going to give him an eye right about here, just like that. I'm gonna dip him in my yellow. Try to make sure that his eye does not travel. Okay. And I think I'm about done. I have got a lot, and I have got my jellyfish is coming into my fish, which is okay, but I'm gonna keep cleaning this up a little bit, and I will show you what it looks like when it is completely done and dry.